Good evening. My name is Tori Smith, and I would like to do the almost daily child trafficking report for the child trafficking operation that's run by DARPA and the CIA, along with FBI assistance. Well, it's pretty much everybody that's assisting now. The Attorney General, they call it the Department of Justice, which is a very cute little filthy lie. Because the Attorney Generals, well, except for Janet Reno, who's the one Attorney General I absolutely love. She was a protector of children. She didn't, she was never involved in this. But over the past 2 days, actually, one is still ongoing, the one at Roswell right now. But let's talk about the 21st of February, Sunday. A total of 78 children were brought to the DARPA CIA child trafficking operation by 3 different agencies. Child Protective Services abducted 24 children from 3 states, Illinois, Missouri, and Nebraska, and all these children were picked up by the CIA and flown to Chicago MILAB number 2. 31 children were delivered to this operation by ICE. These 31 children were Mexicans, and they were taken from Texas. 23 children were delivered by the Air Force to Nellis Air Force Base, which is a Las Vegas MILAB. These children were taken from an adoption home in the Tokyo area to the Tokyo MILAB, and then they were brought here by the child traffickers. So that's 78 children total, and they went to 4 MILABs. Chicago number 2 had 12 children from the ops group, and they were just kept there. And they were gang raped by a group of 53 men while 16 women watched. I always wondered about that because this comes up every once in a while. It's like women stand around rubbing their vaginas watching men rape little girls. We have an Indiana state senator that's like that. She's a real piece of work. It just, I don't know. Couldn't you find something better to do with your time than standing around rubbing your vagina watching men rape little girls? Sorry. Local politicians, Illinois State Police, Chicago police officers, Evanston had a police officer there. Two. Skokie had a police officer there. That kind of surprised me. I always liked Skokie. It's a nice town. They have a nice mall. And also the CIA, the FBI, the NSA. And these 12 children were killed by 12 Chicago policemen who were being rewarded for their help in the CIA heroin trafficking operation. If you're not familiar with the CIA, owned by the Bush family, heroin trafficking operation, what happened was there was this country called Afghanistan, and they were just living there, minding their own business. And the United States military invaded the country and murdered 5.2 million of them. Isn't that nice of us? Go USA! After murdering 5.2 million people in Afghanistan, they took over the heroin fields because they grow the best poppies in the world. The CIA has netted $14.8 billion from this heroin trafficking operation, and a little over 14 million people have been adversely affected by the heroin. And we all know why. Most heroin has disease in it, like hepatitis. And then Chicago MILAB number 1, the other 12 children were gang raped by a group of 42 men, city aldermen, CEOs and corporate executives, other politicians, several police officers, the CIA, the FBI, and the NSA. The Pentagon, 27 children were taken to the Pentagon yesterday and gang raped by a group of 69 males, while 6 females watched. All Pentagon military men, 27 high-ranking officers killed the children. In the same way, they choked them to death during rape. Crawfordsville, Texas, 27 children were gang raped by a group of 59 men while 6 more females watched. The Texas State Police, the group of men were the Texas State Police, the Secret Service, the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, DHS, 3 Bush clones, and it was the 3 Bush clones, the Secret Service, and the CIA who killed the children. And moving on to today, Monday, 64 children were brought to America by AFRICOM, which is another privately owned child trafficking organization, but they're also war criminals. They also murder people for cash profit and corporate gain. And these African children were taken from a village that was destroyed by a United States of America war crime. And about 200, a little over 200 adults were murdered, and then they took the children. And this Army Staff Sergeant said, and which I would have to clean it up to keep it on YouTube, he says, "I love effing and girls." And the Spanish say negro, but Americans used to say another word that starts with N. He said, "I just love little nigger girls." Can you imagine that? This is the mentality of these people. And they're heroes to the United States of America. Heroes. Bragging about raping little girls. Like this little girl, Jaquanda from Texas. She was abducted in Houston. And she was raped hundreds and hundreds of times by all these men of the military, CIA, FBI, Secret Service. And they're running around bragging about it. She was a little 13-year-old girl who both of her parents were on meth. And I think her father was in jail. And but the grandparents were really good people. They had their lives, you know, together. I don't think her grandparents still know what happened to Jaquanda. But she was targeted because she was an African-American girl with large breasts, 13-year-old girl, raped by, I think it was well over 600 times she was raped. Sorry, I digress. So these children, 20 were taken to the Pentagon and gang raped by 236 males. A 7-hour event, and 20 generals and captains killed the children. 22 children were taken to Denver today, and they were gang raped by a group of 76 males of the CIA, FBI, TSA, NSA, DHS, Secret Service, the new Attorney General of the United States, and the new CIA Director of the United States. The new CIA Director raped and murdered a 7-year-old boy. And the new Attorney General of the United States raped and murdered a 9-year-old girl. Now, if you remember, I spoke about, well, let's move on to Roswell first, and then we'll go back and talk about them real quick. Because the other children, the other 22 children were taken to Roswell, New Mexico, and for the military men to rape 306 males. 306 males on 22 children. And they love to just stand around watching each other. It's just like the greatest thing to them. So who gets to actually kill the child, and then who gets to watch? Yay, military. And like I said, this event is still going on, and the 22 children are expected to be murdered by these other reptilians that came in. They're 100% reptilian, and they're expected to kill and eat the children, according to heaven. And I'd like to go back real quick and talk about the new Attorney General, because it was just on Saturday, the new Attorney General raped and murdered a 10-year-old girl. And the new CIA Director, American Division, raped and murdered a 9-year-old girl. And they did that in the basement of the White House because Barack Obama and Joe Biden were also there. Barack Obama raped and murdered a 7-year-old girl, and Joe Biden murdered a 9-year-old girl. Go Democrats. So I took a look at the new CIA Director and the new Attorney General because I don't want to say I met them, but they came into my home in their temporal bodies and pinned me down and raped me. And I can tell you, it's not pleasant being raped by men who rape and murder innocent children. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do for therapy after all this is over. But I don't concentrate on myself. I concentrate on... I like to do this out of respect for the children. Because obviously I can't stop it. I mean, who do you report this to? I've already talked to everybody in Indiana, and the Attorney General of Indiana happens to be a serial pedophile. Protecting the governor who rapes and murders children, protecting the former governor, but also protecting a former governor and former senator who also rapes and murders children. Both United States senators from Indiana rape and murder children. Who doesn't? I think everybody in the freaking United States. I'm sorry. Let's go back to this new CIA Director. He is 58% reptilian, 10% insectian, 4% amphibian, 6%, which is unknown to me, and then the rest is human, 22% human. And the new Attorney General actually came here on the same ship. They've both been here for 6 months. So the new Attorney General and the new CIA Director have been residents of Earth for 6 months. He is also 58% reptilian, 10% insectian, 6% amphibian, 8% unknown to me, and 18% human. Now, I like, there's this wonderful artist who, his name is H.R. Geiger, G-I-G-E-R. He was a brilliant artist. And he was abducted by the Insectians and held for 32 lifetimes. And I wish I had time to go back and take a closer look, but 14 of his family and friends were also abducted. And then they're all just like trauma survivors, anomalous trauma survivors, you know, just trying to hold on to sanity like the rest of us who get beaten up and raped by aliens. But anyway, if you look at his artwork, you'll see this guy that looks like he has little metal squares on his face, squares, rectangles, or whatever. It looks like he has a metal skin over his face. And I looked at him, and what came up were 6 species. This guy is like 6 species, and the only one that I could identify was reptilian, and all the other ones, I don't know. And I thought, wow, you know, that's a head trip, isn't it? But there are, what I know of is, you know, because heaven, I done the Hall of Research, there's 800 million species of people in this universe. 800 million species, not people. I mean, what if there was like 50 trillion of each species? How many people is that? That's a lot of people. But anyway, I just wanted to do a report on the day's child trafficking and these 2 new monsters that we have to. And those of you who are wondering about the CIA, it's an organization of Earth, and their headquarters are in France and Switzerland at the bottom of Lake Geneva, right by the Hadron Collider, which I learned how to pronounce. I always thought it had an L in it for some reason. But when Russia went through its metamorphosis, it decided to become basically, you know, one of the players. All the KGB have switched to CIA. The CIA is in China. It is in Japan. It is in North Korea. And it's just everywhere. The CIA is a privately owned corporation that basically, you know, is filtered down, but is basically running the show. Basically running the show. And America's basically being run out of Denver. And unfortunately for us, and hopefully this will all end soon. And thank you for your prayers. Thank you so much. I do believe we're making headway because they kept sending in group after group of temporals, and then it got really quiet, and I stopped by my mom's and I watched a movie. Oh, I should do a report on this guy because one of the guys in the movie was an Insectian, reptilian. It was that remake of Fantastic Four. She rented it from the library. And one of the corporate executives was a multi-species man. You could tell because they have bone ridges around their eyes. I mean, I look like crap because I get beaten up all the time. But Insectians have this like circle of bone that stands out, just protrudes just a little bit, and right in a certain light you can see it. And then also their teeth. You know, reptilians have the most hideous teeth. It's just awful. That's another way. And a lot of them have that widow's peak. They usually have black hair. And so those of you who are looking around wondering who reptilians are, just create an intent. I see people for what they really are. That's a really good way to start. I see people for what they really are. Thank you. God bless your hearts. Have a nice evening.